What's up, guys? VinceDao here. Be sure to like and subscribe if you are new. So, hot take. I actually think Trump versus DeSantis in the 2024 primary is going to happen. And maybe even hotter take, I think this might be a good thing for Trump if it happens. We will explain, and let me be clear to new viewers that this is not a liberal video trying to just sow divide in the movement. I am a Trump conservative, okay? So with that said, I know the common thinking is that DeSantis will wait his turn. It'll ruin his career if he doesn't. It'll divide the party, whatever. And that was my take for a while too. I'm contradicting past videos as we speak, but the more that I put the pieces together, it's like, come on. DeSantis is basically touring the country giving de facto campaign speeches right now. He's raising a bunch of money. He's trying to win the favor of all these different conservative groups. There are undoubtedly a bunch of people in his ear telling him to run. Just think about it. If you're Ron DeSantis, and I'm about to explain from his perspective, why would you wait until 2028? The truth of the matter is that politics operates in such a narrow window, and this is his moment of popularity and momentum. Very rarely does a politician maintain that window for so long that they can afford to wait another 4 years before they go for it. By 2028, there's no telling whether Ron DeSantis will remotely have this current level of popularity, especially considering people like Carrie Lake, Doug Mastriano, Blake Masters, and a bunch of new people may have stolen his spotlight by then. Kennedy did not wait for his turn, quote unquote, in 1960. Obama didn't wait in 2008. If you're DeSantis, from his perspective, why not take the gamble before your time passes you by, especially when you're sitting on a war chest of $200 million? Well, people will say that primarying against Trump will ruin Ron's career forever. But is that even true? H.W. Bush primaried against Reagan. He was fine. Hillary against Obama. Even Ted Cruz eventually managed to recover, and that was a very nasty primary against Trump. All that Ron has to do is essentially just stay classy during the campaign and fully get behind Trump if he wins, and he should be fine in the end. He will recover. All of the candidates who did this in 2016 have since recovered politically. It's only the ones who refuse to get behind Trump at all that are now in shambles. I doubt that Ron would do that. Plus, I seriously doubt that this primary would divide the party any worse than 2016, quite frankly. I think we'd be fine. So this kind of all indicates that from his perspective, Ron has no reason not to run for president. It's honestly kind of low risk, high reward for him. And I don't know. I look at the fact that Ron is on this national speaking tour that no other high-profile conservative governor is on. Right? Greg Abbott kind of sticking to Texas. Glenn Youngkin sticking to Virginia. But Ron is noticeably nationalizing himself. You'll also notice that basically since 2020, Ron DeSantis has never even said Donald Trump's name. He doesn't mention him at all. Even in response to the Mar-a-Lago raid, DeSantis would not utter the words Donald Trump and made it some generic statement about like opponents of the regime or something. That's deliberate. Something is going on there. And if you're unsure, look at what Trump shared on Truth Social the other day. Yeah. There's definitely something going on here. Trump knows it. DeSantis knows it. Everyone in politics knows it. Now, with that said, I think in this likely scenario, Trump is still the front runner. But DeSantis admittedly would pose enough of a political challenge that I think Trump would have to actually campaign and try in that primary. And with that said, I'm going to give a very unique take, which is that I think it'll actually be a good thing for Trump if DeSantis runs against him. I know it was a crazy take, right? But I say that because even though DeSantis is the favored pick clearly by the Republican establishment, he seems to be setting up his campaign to actually run to the right of Trump. And whether or not you think that's authentic, it doesn't matter. It's definitely happening. For instance, you look at the candidates that Ron has campaigned for so far, it's Carrie Lake, Blake Masters, J.D. Vance, and Doug Mastriano. These are not run-of-the-mill average Republicans. DeSantis has been intentionally tying himself to the furthest right, most MAGA Republicans this entire cycle. You look at the fact that just last week, DeSantis was the keynote speaker at National Conservatism, which is a conference politically to the right of CPAC, where he gave a speech talking about institutions, the elite, and even restricting legal immigration. You also notice DeSantis always hounds in on roasting Fauci and touting Florida's action against jab mandates.
And I'm just sick of seeing him. I know he says he's going to retire. Someone needs to grab that little elf and chuck him across the Potomac.
This is Ron's big issue, right? And this, by the way, just so happens to be the very issue that Trump hasn't been the best on. And this alone has even led people like Alex Jones to somewhat favor DeSantis over Trump. I'm not saying I agree, nor am I saying DeSantis would be any different if he were in Trump's position. But this is what DeSantis is going to campaign on. Based on what he's saying and who he's associating with, I think DeSantis is going to run to the right of Trump and basically say, look, Trump, you failed. You made all these mistakes. You caved to the mob. You caved to the establishment. You hired all these subversive people. And I am running on the platform that your base truly supports. I never caved as governor. I use power more effectively than you, right? Not saying that this rhetoric is honest, but this will be the rhetoric. This will be the attack. I say this will be a good thing for Trump because Trump will have to push himself to the right in order to respond to these criticisms. He will have to say, look, Ron, you wouldn't be any different, but it's true. Next time, I know the right people to hire. We won't prop up Fauci. We won't let the riots happen again, etc. And so in a very weird way, even though he's kind of the more establishment pick, Ron DeSantis can basically be a proxy by which our base voices its criticisms to Trump. See what I'm saying there? Iron sharpens iron, and I think it will actually help Trump to have someone pushing him to the right. Because especially if DeSantis gains ground from these attacks, it will be a message to Trump that actually, yes, a large subset of the base is unhappy with some of these shortcomings and they want to see them addressed, especially when you consider the fact that all of the criticism Trump has had to deal with in the GOP thus far has come from his left, right? It's Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy saying he's too radical, or Mike Pence and Nikki Haley saying he's a threat to the Constitution. In my opinion, Ron DeSantis coming in from the right will actually help to create the best Trump that we could possibly have. And assuming he adapts, answers for those mistakes, and ultimately fends off DeSantis in the primary by doing so, which honestly, if he doesn't do those things, he might have a problem there. But assuming he does, which I think he will adapt. I think he will get the message there. I think you're looking at a very good candidate. A much better candidate than if he simply steamrolls Nikki Haley on easy mode. A candidate who will be acclimated to debating and answering hard questions and is full steam ahead by general election season. A candidate who is more in touch with the sentiment of the base than maybe, 2020. Because we all know, right, that Pence, Haley, or Pompeo, they're not going to be tough primary challengers, especially because they're going to run to his left and just use libtard talking points against him. Oh, you threaten the Constitution, democracy, all this stuff. But DeSantis is smart enough to know that the only way to pose a real threat to Trump is to appear more Trumpian than Trump, which is what he's going to try to do, right? And again, iron sharpens iron. I think this will be a good thing for Trump, honestly, and that's my take on that. So with that said, I don't know. I could be totally wrong. Things can change. The environment can change. But as of this moment, analyzing the behavior of both potential candidates and kind of just assessing the rumors I hear both in Florida and in DC politics, it seems like this is actually going to happen. And, again, contrary to the way a lot of people feel about it, I think it can actually be a good thing for us if it does. That's the truth. But anyways, what are your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who rage their disagreements, so, go ahead. But yeah, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to try to upload every Monday from now on, so be posted for that. And until next time, Alpha Moves only. God bless and peace.